let you know, and then you can go. There we go. We're good to go.
All right, sounds good. So good morning, everyone. My name is Stacey Ray-Storman, and I'm the Director of Player Development for the Indiana PGA section. It's great to be here with all of you today. Today is our third and final webinar in a 3-webinar series being provided by the Indiana PGA section. In the previous 2 webinars, we discussed PGA Junior League and PGA Family Cup. If you missed those webinars, they were recorded, and we would be happy to provide you with those links to view those recordings. Please reach out to either Kim or myself for those links if you didn't get them. I sent them out the past 2 Fridays, but if you don't have them, just let me know. We encourage you to participate today. However, we ask that you keep your computer and phone on mute unless you would like to speak or ask a question. You can always unmute to speak, but it drastically lowers the amount of background noise. You can find the mute button in the lower middle portion of your screen. You may also ask questions by posting them in the chat area, which is located in the top right corner of the screen. We will see all of the questions posted in the chat area and can address those questions as they arrive. I'm going to let Kim go ahead and kickstart us off with today's topic, which is PGA.Coach and the American Development Model for Golf.
Thanks so much, Stacey, and hello, everybody. It's great to see you, even if it is virtually. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Kim Shafer, and I am both a PGA and an LPGA member. And I am the Regional League Manager that works with the Indiana, Michigan, Northern, and Southern Ohio PGA sections. So in the Indiana section, I work really closely with Stacey, and it is our goal to be able to assist you with all of your player development needs. So I know we've really enjoyed doing these webinars, and the last 2 webinars were fantastic, and so we're looking forward to a great discussion today as well. So today's topic is PGA.Coach and the American Development Model for Golf. So some of you may have already visited the PGA.Coach website and gone through the training program and learned all about the American Development Model, and others might really not even know what we're talking about yet. And you're here for the very first time and just starting to learn about PGA.Coach. So what we'd like to do today is we'd like to start by just sharing kind of a brief summary of kind of the evolution of PGA.Coach and the American Development Model for Golf. So, what is PGA.Coach? It's a great resource. It's a great resource and a tool for you to be able to put into your professional toolkit. You can visit the PGA.Coach website to learn more. I'm going to basically just give you a brief history of it. So a few years back, when golf became an Olympic sport, that really opened up a lot of doors and a lot of opportunity for golf. And as a result, the national governing bodies for golf, so the PGA Tour, the LPGA, the USGA, et cetera, had the opportunity to work with the United States Olympic Committee. And kind of through years of research, it had become evident that the vast majority of our young athletes would either quit sports or what we're going to see in a video here is retire from sports at basically right around the age of 13. And, one of the things that the kids would say is that they were not having any fun. And so this short video that Stacey's going to play is pretty much going to kind of sum up the life of a lot of our typical young athletes here in America. Stacey, we can see the video, but we can't hear it.
Can you hear it now?
No.
Okay, hold on. Do you have to press something different for the sound to come through?
Not normally, no.
Let me...
Can you hear the sound on your end?
Yeah, I can hear it on my end.
Why don't you take your headphones out and maybe we can hear it through your thing. Try it that way, and if not, we just won't do it.
Put the closed captions on.
Yeah, start it over and I think that might work.
Is that working?
Yes.
I'm here to announce my retirement from sports. Baseball, basketball, all of them. I feel like it's time. The pressure that it takes to play at my age is just too much. So I'm done with the endless advice from parents to keep my head up, to keep my head down, to keep my head in the game. I know you think you helped. I'm walking away from the coaches that left me on the bench every time the game was on the line. I'll miss my friends and the fun we had when we were young. I said I'd play this game as long as I was having fun. And now, it's time to call it quits. Any questions?
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Believe it or not, we had Stacy share the video because my computer wasn't working. So that video right there, as a parent, that is not how I want my child to feel about sports. But I will tell you that is exactly what happened with my son and his baseball experience. He was a pretty good baseball player, and around age 12, he was, according to his coach, too good to play in the rec league anymore, and he really needed to move up into a higher level, which was a little bit more of a travel league. So he started playing in this travel league, and the rec league that he had been in, they practiced like once a week and had a game once a week, and he loved it. We went into this travel league. They literally practiced every single day. And on the weekends, instead of having one game, it was, we're going to play 3 games on Saturday and 3 games on Sunday. And it just took up every ounce of his free time. And I will never forget the day that he came up to me about halfway through the season. And he said, Mom, he goes, I really miss playing golf and my other sports. And I really, really miss playing with my friends in the backyard. And that was what he missed the most, was he missed having some free time to just play with his friends in the backyard. And as a result, we had him fulfill his commitment for that season, but then he quit at the end of that season, and he never played baseball ever again. And, we're seeing a lot of kids dropping out of sports, and we're also seeing the childhood obesity numbers in our country just increasing at a ridiculously rapid rate. So with all of these things happening and with these trends that we're seeing in our youth sports, the United States Olympic Committee decided to tackle this problem head on. And so they started working with each one of their individual Olympic sports in creating what they call this American Development Model. We'll kind of call it ADM for short, for each one of those Olympic sports. So for golf, all of the national governing bodies of golf came together. They had PGA professionals, LPGA professionals. They pulled in pediatricians and childhood psychologists and just childhood experts in general, all together to determine a plan that would keep kids engaged and motivated, and most importantly, having fun with the game of golf. So the ultimate goal is to create lifelong golfers. So each one of the Olympic sports is creating their own American development model for their sport. So today we're really lucky to have with us a gentleman named Carl Davis as one of our guest speakers. And Carl is the National Manager of Research and ADM for the United States Tennis Association. In his role, Carl and the USTA support the United States Olympic Committee by working together to develop the American Development Model for tennis. So we're really excited to have Carl here with us, and he can kind of share with us his expertise and knowledge on the American Development Model and how important it is to all sports, obviously for him, especially tennis. So Carl, I'm going to kind of throw it over to you and kind of let you tell us your story with the American Development Model.
Thank you very much, Kim. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being on the call. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to Kim and Ted Logan for inviting me to be part of this presentation and just share a little bit of insight on what we've done from an American development point of view. If I may just bounce some slides through, I've got a video there as well to make it all engaging. Just a few seconds, please. Great segue. Kim, thanks very much for setting up the concept of American Development Model. That really makes my life much easier. We've been working on the American Development Model, I would say now 2 or 3 years. And I say 2 or 3 years because it just seems like on reflection, it started way back in the day, but then only took us a year or so to get really jump into action. And it was on the basis of that we did some research through the University of Central Florida, because our national office is based in Orlando, Florida, a great golf capital, as everyone knows. And I would love to signal out that I am a golfer by trade, while leisurely play golf when I can, when I get the sanction from the family. So we devised this American Development Model, and it's purely, as Kim alluded to, not just tennis and golf doing it. There's a multiple of sports. And I would say that when we were putting our model together, we really looked at lacrosse and ice hockey, who seem to be the leaders from American Development Model point of view, but also from a long-term athletic development plan. They've really done a really great job, and we had a lot of learnings from them. And also we are in close communication with Ted and Kim and so forth, to just bouncing ideas together, particularly in this COVID pandemic, where we know that the two of us are really doing very well from a participation point of view. So ultimately, we're looking at the tennis experience. And I think again, like I mentioned, is that tennis and golf seem to be going really gangbusters at this point in time. And we're having a lot of conversations now about how do we hold on to all of our players that have started playing tennis during COVID-19. And we're integrating our American Development Model around our Net Generation brand. It's a youth brand that we also started a little bit further back, 3 or 4 years ago. And it's very similar to what you've done with PGA Coach, is trying to have a one poor Amazon of tennis, we've actually been called, which is a really great call out to what we are trying to achieve. We're trying to connect the players to the coach. I would have to say that we've gone a little bit backwards compared to you, where you've gone with American Development Model, then PGA Coach. We've gone the other way around. So we started with a Net Generation youth brand, and then we've integrated our American Development Model. And, as you might see with American Development Model, it's a bit of a beast undertaking, if I could call it that way. It's a lot of aspects, a lot of areas to cover in order to essentially grow our game and keep them playing for a lifetime. So there's a lot of details. If you were wanting to have a little bit more information, in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a website, netgeneration.com/ADM, with a lot more details. Around the ADM, like I've just mentioned, is that it's a huge undertaking. We've tried to simplify it around a philosophy of fun. We want all of the kids to try and discover their fun initially, and we're using analogy of a house. We want to develop those skills, competence and confidence, in order to play the game. And then at the end of the day, we just want all the kids to play their way, or be a player-centered approach. And we think that if we can combine these three aspects, or the philosophy, we're hopefully going to get sustained participation. Also know that if we increase the base, we're going to get more top 10 champions around the world that are featuring, doing very well on a worldwide basis, and also ultimately winning our US Open. And then also at the end of the day, we're centered around health and wellness and really leveraging our lifetime sport of tennis. A big focus of us is because we control a lot of our competition, we really looked at our pathway in terms of our competitive pathway, and making sure that we attract, engage, and retain these players into our pathway, because we know that was from our research of UCF, that was a big concern for us, because we're having a lot of dropout from one tournament to the next. And we really looked at, speaking from a digital point of view, how to play, how to engage the kids, how to have education with the providers, with the players, with the coaches, and have those synergies in order for us to have this next generation pathway or a competitive pathway that is centered around being developmentally appropriate. This is a lot of, arrows, but if I could just simplify it in a sense that we're looking at the bottom, we've done a lot of work from a curriculum point of view, and then we want the child, the kid, their first experience to ideally be a team format. We all know the benefits of team as opposed to individual. And then once they've got their competence and confidence, then they can go more into an individual basis where it's all around level-based play. We're working now currently on a new digital tool that will help us from a rating point of view. Not quite sure whether you're familiar with our model of rating as opposed to ranking. And then we like to position our ranking events, which is at the top there, levels 1 to 7, which is more performance orientated, and then trying to get those wins in order to get more ranking points to progress up the ranking list. And again, on the right-hand side, you can see there the synergies, like I just mentioned, around providers, how do we retain everyone, and then also recruitment within the pathway. And just very quickly, a little bit of a timeline, a little bit of a flow. Like I said, we did the UCF research in the beginning with the ADM research and development. We put some curriculum together. We want to educate everyone and just re-emphasize how we are using our American development model to integrate with our flow of programming, training, educating our parents, coaches, players. We need resources. We're really having a great connection with a website. We have an app called Net Generation, which is an app that really connects the players and the coaches, and then across the board communication around the ADM, educational, and then segueing into the digital support. I have a video that we took at the US Open 2019. Unfortunately, we couldn't do anything last year. We were able to host the US Open in September, but obviously there was no fans involved. And it was really a great activation, emphasizing what we've done most on reflection, I would say, is a great job with multi-sport participation. And we had this really great activation site at the US Open grounds. We had golf, we had soccer, we had basketball, and it was a great event because we got some of our pros, and we also had the privilege of Kobe Bryant stepping in and engaging with the kiddos. So this is just a small clip of what we did with that activation.
For the kids, the most important thing is to have fun. They have to enjoy life. They have to play different sports. They have to enjoy every single day.
I found that in doing different sports, you learn different techniques, training techniques, footwork techniques. Even if you're focused on playing one sport, the coach, the club, cross-training.
So there's so many benefits to playing all types of different sports, and I think kids playing multiple sports, you can really find what you love. It's also great for like coordination, staying active, not being at home, and I think it's really cool that Catch put this together because it's a great way to show kids that you can play a lot of different sports.
Yeah, any putting tips for Sloan there? Yeah, that was a great event. As you saw, Sloane Stephens has won our US Open in 2018, I believe. And then we had Rafa Nadal, #1 player in the world. And then we also had Kobe Bryant, a great event. If I could just share a quick story around Kobe. After that activation, we went inside. We got some indoor courts there in New York, and he was able to play tennis, and we filmed him. He did a few clips for us around some activities, and what an athlete. Apparently, when he first finished with basketball, he played a lot of tennis, but then unfortunately got really busy and didn't play. But only then recently, before he passed, unfortunately, that he started playing again. And just by him playing tennis, you know, he was on the court for about 30 minutes. Just in the beginning, it was a bit rusty, but then his athletic skills, which we're all centered around the ADM, came into light and just improved by every ball that he hit. It it was so cool to have him in that environment from a tennis point of view. We're really unfortunate that he wasn't able to stay with us because he was really getting into our sport and being a supporter of youth sport in general and American development model through his connection with Aspen Institute. And just got one more to show you, if you don't mind. This was a really cool event that we did last summer. We know how we went all virtual. We thought that we would do a virtual summer camp, and we thought we would love to do it from a multi-sport point of view, just showcasing our integration from an ADM perspective. And like I was saying before, really we've done a pretty good job, I would say, from a multi-sport point of view. And we were very proud of this summer virtual camp. Again, you'll see a golf connection here. So yeah, without further ado, I'll play this quick video that we have.
Hey, NetGen, we are raising the flag here at our summer camp.
Yeah, as you can see with all those activities, we were collaborating. We reached out to our USOPC friends to see if there would be anybody willing to join us. And then we were centered around, physical literacy. And sorry, just stop presenting there. We're just based around physical literacy. As you can see, we had a multiple of sports, golf included. Was a weird one. Also a good one was figure skating. We had the figure skating girl do a few physical literacy activities for us and was very well received. So yeah, just thanks again for listening. Thanks again for the opportunity to present what we are doing about the ADM. You know, I could talk until the cows come home, very passionate about our ADM and what it represents. And we really, I think, have a great opportunity in this COVID pandemic and coming out of it, how we could, rebrand youth sports to be more centered around, play, having fun, and playing your way or being player-centered.
Thank you, Carl, for all the great information. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge on this topic with us. This seems like a good time for questions. Does anyone have any questions for Carl at all? If you do, just go ahead and unmute yourself and you can go ahead and ask.
Stacy, if we don't have any questions from Carl, I'd like to make a comment on what Carl has presented there, and thank you, Carl, for doing so. My comment would be the one thing that I've learned being a PGA of America employee and working with our golf ADM model and development of PGA.Coach is it is really, really great right now to see all of these different sports coming together, working together, and helping each other to grow each other's sport. I think there was a time where, as golfers, we wouldn't want to, send our kids over to the tennis court because, we just want them golfing all the time. Why would we introduce them to another sport? That would take them away from us and golfing with us. And so I think we saw all of these other sports as more of competitors, when in actually, if instead of competing with one another, if we collaborate with one another, all of our sports are going to continue to see great growth. And that's kind of what we're really starting to see now is instead of, us trying to beat tennis, instead let's work with tennis, and let's help each other out and get as many kids playing as many sports as possible, because that way they'll play longer and hopefully they'll find that one sport that will touch them and that they'll then stick with for a lifetime. and that will certainly help our health situation within our country. So Carl, thanks so much for your time. I enjoy working with you and always hearing about what tennis is doing as well. I want to kind of, go ahead.
No, so thank you. I just wanted to give kudos to all of you. You know, as I mentioned with Net Generation, we were trying to connect the coaches with the players' parents, and I would probably have to say, and we would all agree internally that we haven't done a great job, but you guys have done a phenomenal job of making that connection from coaches to the players. Just heard great reports about that, so congratulations on that front.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Carl. We really appreciate it. And as we want to move forward in the webinar, I want to share a couple things with you before we bring in our other two guest speakers today. So when we think about the American Development Model for golf specifically, first action item that you need to do when you're done today is go visit the PGA.Coach website. You will then be introduced to the 7 developmental stages. I just kind of call it the ages and stages for our ADM model. Each of those 7 stages provides different skills, different activities, different lesson plans that are age appropriate and allow for a young golfer to be introduced to new aspects of the game at a pace that matches their emotional, social, physical development for that age. So this will prevent golfers from experiencing a burnout at a very young age, and it will also make sure that golfers are being appropriately challenged so that they don't quit just from boredom of doing the same thing over and over. So the American Development Model, while it's still in its infancy, it's already making a huge impact in our sports communities. And we're seeing, as Carl alluded to, some of the early adopters, such as ice hockey and lacrosse. We're seeing that they're having a huge amount of new number of players and that their player retention rates are really, really going up. So after they instituted their American Development Models for their respective sports, they started seeing these results. We're still in the infancy for golf, so we're just getting it going, but I expect we're going to see similar results as to what those sports have seen as well. I know as a professional who I used to teach full-time, and I did all of our junior programming at the facility where I was. When I went through the training, I found it to be incredibly valuable. And just so you know, the training is free. It takes about 3 hours. It's something that if you want to sit down and do all 3 hours at once, you can, or it comes in basically like little classes. So you could do a 20 minutes and then leave and come back 2 days later and do another 30-minute class. And so you can do it at your own pace, but in general, it takes approximately 3 hours. Once you have completed that ADM training, then you will gain access to a couple things. One is the PGA.Coach mobile app. And the mobile app is a great resource. The mobile app, many of the professionals that I work with that have completed the training, they've told me that they absolutely love the mobile app. When you get in there and you start searching for activities in that mobile app, you can find activities for each one of those 7 different stages. So with just a couple clicks on your screen, you can access activities for all sorts of different ages. They have very detailed lesson plans in there that are fun and interactive, and they're age appropriate for your target audience. When you click on those, one of the things that's really nice is it will literally tell you, hey, it takes 5 minutes to set up this activity. Here's the equipment that you need to set it up. And then many times it will actually have like a 20-second video that shows a professional actually doing the activity with the kids so that you can see what it's supposed to look like. So, I mean, it's incredibly detailed to help you put together an active learning atmosphere at your facility. So you can also, through that mobile app, have the ability to share whatever lesson plans that you pick out, share those lesson plans with your coaches. So that way, anybody that's going to be helping you that day, you can share the lesson plan out and all of you are on the same page as exactly what you're going to be doing with the kids that day. There's also a lot of great resources in the mobile app as far as parents. And to be very honest with you, how to communicate with your parents so that your parents understand the principles of the American Development Model. And there's some really good resources in there on basically how to be a good parent, because that can lots of times be one of the indicators for why children do stop playing sports. So they have parent resources in that mobile app area as well. So it's a great way to access that mobile app. It's just a wonderful tool where there's just hundreds of activities that are age appropriate and ready to use. You'll find that many of those lesson plans might include what you would consider non-golf activities. They might include some motor skill development and cross-training with other sports. And that's okay, because that helps develop a very well-rounded athlete. The second thing that you'll have access to once you go through the training is you will be able to then visit the PGA.com website, which is the consumer-facing website. That's the website where if I'm just a regular old golfer in my area and I want to find a pro, I can go to PGA.com, I can type in find a pro, and if you've completed the ADM training, then you can create your own coach profile. Your profile will show up, and people can start finding you on that website and reaching out to you as their potential new instructor. I have a pro in the Northern Ohio section that told me last week that within the last month, he has gained 6 new students purely based off the PGA.com website and creating his own coaching profile there. So it is actively working and helping you to kind of market yourself and get some new potential students in your local community.
Thanks for all that information, Kim. There's a lot of benefits to completing the ADM training on the PGA.Coach website. We have 2 very accomplished coaches with us today, Crystal Morse from the Legends and Dan Ross from Burke Boilermaker Golf Complex. Both have finalized their ADM training and have very active junior and adult instruction programming at their facilities. Crystal, you have been a longtime PGA Junior League captain and you have completed the PGA.Coach training. Can you share with us some of your insights into how the 2 work well together?
Yes, and hello everybody. If you don't know me, obviously my name is Crystal Morse. I'm head professional at the Legends Golf Club and have been a, basically, just to kind of give you a little background, I probably in 2016, 2017 is when we moved back from California, and I really, just really dove headfirst into junior golf development here in the area, and I can't get enough of it. I love it. It's become just like I found my true passion in junior golf, and I love talking about junior golf, and with this ADM and PGA.Coach, it's incredible. So I love talking about it. So to kind of keep me on track with the PGA Junior League. So obviously there at the Legends, we run an in-house program, and I would say one of the biggest challenges I've had anywhere from, I generally have, depending on the leagues, I would say upwards of 70, 75 kids in the program between the different leagues we run. So my biggest challenge, I would say, with PGA Junior League is practice and running a efficient practice, an effective practice, one that's organized and engaging and covering all the gamuts from ages 7 to 13, or actually 5 to 13. I even have some 5-year-olds in there. So that is the biggest challenge for me. So, and I would say going through the ADM training was so eye-opening for me, and it was just like this huge, I was blown away by it because I was like, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is what I've needed for my PGA Junior League practices. And my biggest challenge, and again, to kind of keep it on task with PGA Junior League, I want to create a practice that's engaging. It's easy for my volunteers to step into. So if I use my high school mentors, if I have like a retired golf coach, he's not PGA, but he's a retired golf coach and just loves being around the kids. My husband, who teaches more probably adults and not so many kind of the younger juniors. So I have all these different volunteers coming in that I need help with to run a good PGA Junior League program. And this in PGA.Coach And the app that I'll talk a little bit about, like that helps me run an efficient practice. Having the age-appropriate activities where my older, more experienced kids are going to feel challenged, yet the younger kids, they're not going to feel kind of, discouraged by the challenge of the event that we're doing. So I would say it's a perfect way. The ADM model and the PGA Coach is the perfect way for anybody wanting to run like a really effective PGA Junior League practice. Just to kind of give you an idea for those that do run PGA Junior League, I've kind of found it best. So I have about 24 kids maybe per practice, 24, 25 kids per practice. And I find it best, like kind of what I like to do is rotate and have 3 different stations. I'll have 1 to 2 volunteers per station. And then we'll use a, obviously age-appropriate activity at each one of those stations. So, we'll focus on warm-up and cool-down. Pre-shot routine is a big one that I think goes overlooked a lot of times, and social interaction and teamwork are a lot of our focuses on, PGA Junior League. I would say, and this is one thing that I want to kind of, I guess, point out, and one thing that I know a lot of you would probably agree with me on is the parent perspective. And I feel like the biggest challenge that we have as PGA professionals is changing that perspective of parents. So like when parents drop their kids off to one of my programs, they may have in their mind that it's going to be nothing but hitting balls on the driving range and them getting, this, real personalized, individual instruction. And, they're going to be Tiger Woods by the end of our, of our program. So, but I find communicating with parents that, hey, we're following the ADM model. We're following this model. It's going to benefit your child to become an overall athlete. Like we're developing the athlete first. We're you're going to see us using a variety of sports to get your child able to hit a golf ball better. Like we're going to be throwing the football. We're going to be catching. We're going to be running. We're going to be jumping. All of those things are going to put your child in a position to be able to be a better golfer. And I feel like a lot of, like if we can, I love the idea of like integrating ADM kind of clicked with me. I need to market it better. I need to market that with my programs better so that parents can understand that it's going to benefit their child to be an overall athlete and to get them into one of our programs that focuses on that and that focuses on, overall body movement in integrating different sports is going to benefit them. It's not just going to be all golf. But I feel like that's like a shift in perspective that parents need to have. And we need to do better at communicating that with our parents. And it starts like with our PGA. So if we have 75 kids signed up for PGA Junior League, it starts with me being able to communicate that to my parents in the program. And, I think we all need to, PGA professionals can do a better job of kind of marketing that and changing the parents' perspective on that. So that's kind of my take on that. But I love it for PGA Junior League. It's fantastic. And you'll see, and we'll talk about the app a little bit later, and I'll tell you kind of how I use the app. But like under their featured plans, like under their featured activity plans, like it actually has 1 hour PGA Junior League practice. So you can look at the plans that other pros have developed and actually just, there you have your practice, right? You can organize it. It just gives me more like creativity, kind of ideas, creativity, kind of gets the ideas flowing for our PGA Junior League practice. So I absolutely love it.
Crystal, that was all great information. Thank you so much for sharing. You have created a coach profile on PGA.com website. Was it easy to set up your profile, and what value have you seen from creating your profile?
I did create a profile. It was super easy. And I would say, Kim was talking about like the two advantages that we have as PGA professionals to go through the ADM training. One is you get the profile. Two is you have access to the app. Profile was super easy to create. One thing that I feel like the profile does is it brings really brings attention and credibility to me as a coach and to your facility and to your programs. So I would say that is the main thing. Now, if I don't know, I can't tell you. I feel like I have a lot of parents reaching out to me this winter in general, just wanting to get their kids into golf and I want to do this, I want to do that. So I can't tell you how many have reached out to me because of the PGA.coach profile, but I do feel like it definitely adds credibility to me as a coach. And if anybody in the area looks at that, they're going to know, hey, Crystal, she's credible, she's certified, she runs, good programs, I'm going to reach out to her. So it gives me just credibility as a coach and in our programs, kind of brings it to them.
You mentioned earlier something too, Crystal, about, and I think this comes to life in those coach profiles, is you mentioned that, you've kind of just gone all in on junior programming, yet your husband seems like he does a lot more adult programming. Mm-hmm. And, when you go in and you create your own profile, you can create that niche. You have the freedom to write a description of, what you are passionate about and what type of students, that you're going to recruit in, from based off what you put into that profile. So it is a great opportunity to go on there and really put, what you're passionate about and show what you're offering at your facility, because people might not know what you're offering. And so it's definitely a good way to do that. I know you talked already a little bit about the mobile app, but share with us kind of just exactly how you're using that.
Yeah, definitely. So, I've been going through it recently, just talking with you about PGA Junior League. There's really three things that I kind of broke it down to what I use that app for. And again, I would say to kind of, I do, and Kim, this, I've done other programs. So I've become TPI certified. I've done OP 36. I've done all this stuff. I pretty much just try to throw myself into everything junior and kind of see, soak in what I can get from it. But I would say when I did the ADM training, I was absolutely blown away, for the main reason being that it was no cost. It was no cost to PGA professionals, whereas I've done other stuff that it's been hundreds of dollars, or it's, to have the app, you've got to, pay this monthly fee. This blew me away because it was free. And I was like, why is everybody not doing this? This is fantastic compared to what, I think it really just goes a long way into setting PGA professionals apart. Maybe from some other people out there that are running programs. But as far as the mobile app goes, so number one I love about it is the activity planner. So where you can plan your lessons, and it's super user friendly, super easy. So basically if I want to, plan my, I won't even focus, I won't keep it just to PGA Junior League. Let's just say I want to run a, just a spring junior clinic, just kind of a walk-in clinic, for the 8 to 12 age group, or, 8 to 10 age group. I can go in my activity planner, plan my lesson for that 1 hour session, and I can pick the age-appropriate activities, and it tells me descriptively exactly how to run it, what materials I'll need, and how long it's going to take, right? So, I just love that it saves me time, so I don't have to always be thinking about, okay, well, what am I going to do? And what if what if the kids are bored with this activity? And what if, so it saves me a lot of time.
It almost feels like cheating. Because I remember when I used to be in charge of all of our junior programming, and I would spend hours, most of that time late at night, sitting down and putting together lesson plans for all of our junior programming. And with this, It does. To me, it almost feels like cheating because you go in and you just click, oh, I like that one. I like this one. I like that one. I like this one. And boom, you're done and you're ready to go. And I'm like, okay, I used to spend hours doing what I just literally did in less than a minute. So, I think it's incredible, what you can do with that. So,
and I'll say too, and this is one thing, and again, we've talked about it. I love teaching like the young kids, like the younger the better. I just love it. And one reason, and I'll kind of loop it all back to ADM training, is like when I first started getting into juniors, like I wanted to have fun. Like I wanted to have fun doing it. I didn't want it to feel like I was, just people were dropping their kids off for a babysitting service. So like I kind of created that in my lessons plan. I was like, we're going to do fun stuff. Like this has got to be fun for me. I want it to be fun for the kids. And I feel like going through that ADM training, like justified what I was trying to do. So it just said, okay, yes, this is how we need to get kids into the game. And it gave me a way to communicate and justify that with the parents. So when the parents would see me with the young kids and they didn't see a golf club in their hand, but they would see us doing all this other stuff, kind of just gave me that credibility. So when I went through the ADM training, I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I've been like, I felt like this was the right way to do it. And now this totally justified it through like actually doing it. So I loved it. And I would say going through that activity planner, like that's the activities that you're going to have. So the activities that you can access through PGA.Coach, like they're going to be kind of like that gamification. So there's going to be games that you can play. As it gets into the elite players, like the elite competitive players, like there's going to be, it still keeps it fun, but it keeps it more like the focus is going to be a little bit different than it would with a 6-year-old. So it's very, very age appropriate. And I would say too, go ahead.
One thing I wanted to point out while you said that is, we've been talking a lot about juniors and going through these different stages with the juniors. A couple of their 7 stages are actually adult, they're adult stages. And so if you're going to be doing, like a ladies clinic or a men's clinic or a couples clinic or, whatever it is, they also have in there a lot of activities and like you kind of said, gamification things that everybody wants to have fun, whether you're, 4 or you're 40, you want to have fun. And so it's not just for kids. That mobile app does have a lot of different things for adults in there as well. So, Crystal, thank you so much for sharing everything that you do at your facility and whatnot. I think that's been awesome. I would love, if you don't mind, I'm going to switch gears for a minute. I've got a couple questions I want to ask Dan. We've got Dan Ross on here. And Dan, I know you have also finalized your PGA.Coach training and you're very, very successful PGA Junior League captain. And I know that many of our Indiana professionals have not yet done the training. Believe it or not, I get the reports, I look, I know who's done it, I know who hasn't done it. And, we've got a lot of pros that haven't done the training yet. When you went on site and you actually went through the training, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about that actual experience of going through the training? Like kind of how long did it take? Was it easy? What did you get out of the actual training process itself?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I just to come out first and say when Kim asked me if I would get on this webinar, I was a little bit hesitant in the sense that I haven't used all the ADM training, if you will, to a huge extent. But I did feel it was important back when it was offered to us to go into it. It was, as Crystal said, it was free, so we might as well give it a try and see what we can do to improve any of our other programming that we already have. So I sat down. It was in the winter months when I did it, and it really was not hard to do at all. It took about 2.5 to 3 hours of just going through the training. It was very different than anything I'd ever done before in terms of of golf training. It was a lot more, related to other sports too, and just, giving backgrounds and understanding what it's all about. But, it wasn't hard, and it was a good process. So.
Awesome. I know a lot of pros are always, trying to accumulate those MSRs for the current MSR cycle. And this to me might be the most valuable way to get MSRs that there's ever been. And so you can take about three hours and you can go in and get three MSRs and also really learn some things that can help you. I know during the training process, it talks about the different 7 stages of development and whatnot. I know, there are so many different activities for each stage of development. And like I know at your facility, you've got a wide range of kids that are at your facility. Do you believe that by learning about those different stages and activities, do you believe that it's going to ultimately help professionals to retain golfers?
Yeah, without question. And as we've been going through this webinar, I've been more energized to go back and do more. I've been going on the mobile app and looking up a lot of different ideas of things that I can do this coming year. One thing that, you just mentioned, that it's not just for the kids, it's also for adults. I kind of have an in-between segment here at the university, here at Purdue, where I teach basically 12 classes of 25 students, college-age students, an 8-week class. And I'm always looking for something new and something different to do with my curriculum. I think I can take some of this information as well and apply it to some of that curriculum to help me. And to what you're saying, too, you have to have fun. The people have to have fun, and that's super important. That's one of the biggest takes that I take from all this. And I look back at, other things that we do, whether it's junior league, whether it's first tee, any activities that we're doing with the kids. If they walk away from there having said we had a really good time, they're going to continue to do it more and more. A good example, something that we do with some first tee kids, we play golf baseball with them, where we set up a baseball field and then they get to hit from home plate off of a tee, but then we're playing baseball. We're, having outs just like, a normal game of baseball, but, that's a huge favorite of the kids to play because, they're playing a game. They're just having fun, but they're learning the golf skills at the same time. And that's, that's also vital.
That's awesome. And one thing that you mentioned, which I have seen here in my house, is I have a son who is a sophomore at the University of Kentucky, and a ton of his high school friends did not play golf at all when he was in high school. And he would try to get them to go out and play in high school, and they were all like, oh no, golf's not a real sport, whatever. They would say that to him, and now that he's at college and after COVID has hit, I really can't even tell you how many of his college friends have reached out to him and, hey, can we come out and golf with you? Can you help teach us? Can you do the amount of college age kids that are getting in for the first time to date is actually a lot. So it's interesting to hear how you've also experienced that. And they, to your point, they just want to have fun too. You got to make it fun for them. Now I know you for your PGA Junior League, you've had a wide variety of ages and skill levels, and you have multiple teams. Can you share some of your best practices that you do that really keep your players engaged?
Yeah, of course, when you talk about the Junior League kids, and now most recently in last year especially, most of the kids that we had were experienced enough that they were able to be on the golf course. In other words, they're not kids that need a ton of instruction every time. They were able to play. I think one of the best things that we've done with our kids anyway is try to get them out onto the golf course more, playing more matches, actually giving them a feel of what it's like when you play against another team. For us, that's a way that the kids can have fun playing golf. The other thing that we did with that, which was helpful, and this was a way to involve the parents more, we all know that the parents want to be involved. I mean, and oftentimes, that can be a good thing, but that also can be tough because it's like, you don't want them necessarily getting in the way of your instruction, or is it going to be a distraction or whatever. But, we were able on those occasions when we have practices on the course to get the parents coming out with us and actually, seeing what's involved in a practice, seeing what's involved in what, they're trying to do and what trying to accomplish. There are times when we'll play all the matches from, 50 yards and in. We're not even playing from the full distance. We're just learning how to do the short game. And it was amazing to see how well that impacted the kids when they were playing in some of their other matches and how much better they were able to do with the short game, just because we played games like that and had a lot of fun with it. So.
No, I love it. Those are some great points. This is for both Crystal and Dan. You both have shared a lot of information with us today. You're both very successful. Are there any questions that we didn't ask you today? Are there any best practices that you feel like you didn't have the opportunity to share? If there's anything either one of you would like to chime in and share with the group before we close out the day, please feel free to jump in and share anything that you think is valuable.
I'll say one thing real quick. I'm sure Crystal has a lot more. I think she's way more adept at this than I am. So
I can talk forever.
Give her that credit. But no, I would say the one thing that has been talked about, Crystal talked about it, but it was something that I noticed greatly and I've actually been a little bit disappointed in myself that I haven't utilized it enough. That mobile app is extremely beneficial. It is very easy to come up with things, lesson plans, activities that other professionals have used. And I know you kind of said something earlier, Kim, about it. It feels like you're cheating. I mean, that's what we do best as golf professionals. We look at what other people do well, and then we copy it. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. You gotta just be okay with that. I mean, take the things that are successful and apply it to where you are. And so that's what I would say and challenge anybody. It doesn't take that much, number one, to go through the program to get certified, but then use it. Okay. So, I did stage one, but I didn't use it enough. Okay. I need to use it more. I can see that absolutely from today. And I feel excited to do so, but, the app is so easy and so helpful, I've used many of the things that are in there and didn't even realize it. I mean, there's a lot of games in there that I'm like, I'm using these games and I got these from other pros. Well, I'm sure they got them directly from here. So I like the tic-tac-toe game or something like that, Anyway, that's what I would say.
Awesome. Crystal, do you have anything you'd love to share?
There was two things as Dan was talking that I was, talking about, like the college kids and teaching kind of the, kind of different skill levels of players. Well, one thing I really noticed too, now, the app, because obviously with COVID last year, I feel like I really like group instruction. I love group instruction. And honestly, last year due to COVID, I didn't utilize the app nearly as much as I'm going to this year because I really kind of canceled a lot of the group instruction, just not knowing kind of what the best, so I feel like, I didn't use the app a lot last year, only because my programming was like completely, I feel like, thrown out the window, really. But I'm pumped to use it this year. But there's a, and I got the app open right now, there's a thing in there, like at the very bottom, where you can create your plans, but you can also do assessments. And I feel like if you click on, and you can use this for private, private instruction as well. And so when you go into the player assessment, it lets you pick the age group. So you can pick, like, are you working with an adult or are you working with a 6-year-old? So, and then it runs you through, like, you basically take your student through an assessment for chipping, full swing, putting, and you can have notes, like you can take notes under each of the categories. So if you're teaching like a college kid, maybe he hasn't played very much, you can just like run them through a general assessment. That way, like you can just refer back to it on, future lessons. You can do it with ladies, or you can do it with, whoever you want to do it with. So I wouldn't just limit it to the group instruction. You really could use it for individual teaching as well, I think there's going to be a lot of, it's just a great all-around resource. The other thing that I love about the app, and I just got this idea today when I was looking through it, is that it offers stories and best practices for so a lot of pros like in the nation, like there's stories and best practices from what they're doing around the nation, and it just kind of helps me kind of cultivate ideas, make sure I'm not getting stagnant. One thing that I hadn't even thought of, that I'm sure there's probably other people that have thought of this, but it's like a birthday party planner. So you know how kids can have birthday parties at, they go to the baseball field, they'll go to the football field. Well, why not the golf course? I didn't even think about that until I was reading the story, and I'm like, that makes so much sense. Like have a kid, advertise like kids that can have birthday parties at the golf course. And then there's actually a story on here, and it takes you to that pros, like it gives you the plan for a 1-hour birthday party so that you can do with kids. And I just thought that was a great idea. So, just taking the time and reading the stories and the best practices that other pros have done, I think is a huge resource, and it's all in the app. So I mean, those are two of the things that I thought when Dan was talking that,
That's awesome. Those are some really great suggestions, and they are constantly updating that mobile app with new things too. So whether it be lesson plans or best practices, like you mentioned, I mean, they're constantly putting new stuff on there.
Yeah, it's relevant. That was what I was, because it even had like a lot of COVID mentions, and I was like, well, this is relevant. It's not just from 2016 or whatever. It's, actually relevant current information that is useful. So.
Yeah, that's really, really good to hear. I really want to thank both of you. I know Carl had to jump off, but thank Carl as well. Does anybody that's on, any of you have questions that you'd like to ask either Dan or Crystal? And if you do, you can unmute yourself. If you're not comfortable asking them in this venue, I know both Dan and Crystal, they would both be happy to answer any questions at any time. So you could also reach out to them directly as well. And then, of course, Stacy and I, we will always be here for you. So if you need anything, I encourage you to reach out to us as well. So a huge thank you to our guest speakers today. A huge thank you for all of you that attended. And I'm going to let Stacy close us out. I hope to see all of you in person sometime soon.
Yes, I want to echo Kim's comments. Thank you guys for your time today. Please note that while this series of webinars is now over, we're actually getting ready to start a new series in partnership with Michigan, Northern Ohio, and Southern Ohio PGA sections. So the first webinar in that series starts this Friday, same time, 10 o'clock, and it'll cover all the new PGA Junior League changes for the 2021 season. That webinar will be a great opportunity to prepare for the upcoming season. I will be sending out the link for that direct webinar on Thursday, the day before. So if you're able to join us for that one. And then the other two that we'll be hosting, the next one after this Friday will be Friday, February 5th, and that one will cover the power of in-house leagues. And then one on Friday, February 12th, and it's going to be over COVID-19 guidelines and best practices. So we hope you guys will be able to join us for those, and they'll all be the same time from 10 to 11. So thanks again for joining us today, and we hope to see everybody in person really soon. So thank you guys.